Hey everyone, welcome to part 2 of trying to make certain concepts and cover calls and options a little bit more easier to understand. And again, this series is based on a poll I did for the community, and it just felt like I should do one on basically every subject line in that poll. So today we are attacking ROC and ACB, return of capital and adjusted cost basis, how it all works together. Yes, I'm using the money tree example again, and hopefully the analogies will help you to better understand exactly what is going on here. As always, links in the description below if you're a new time investor to Questrade, Wealthsimple. There's no better day than today to invest and just put your future financial prospects on the right path and on the responsible path, most importantly. And if you're here for income knowledge, then I obviously encourage you to stick around, subscribe, and all the rest of it. Okay, let's get into it. Once again, we got the money tree here. And to start with, how return of capital works before we get into adjusted cost basis, because they do work hand in glove together. They are not the same thing, but ACB is affected by ROC. So here we go. You have the money tree, but maybe you're not necessarily know how to grow that money, how that money tree can produce for you. Say you bought it for $10 and you want it to produce $1 every single year. Pardon me for waving my hands around because that's probably what I'm going to do throughout this video. Okay, so you give it to your friend who you think can grow that money to produce that $10 money tree can produce $1 for you every year. Okay, so you give it to him, and he's not able to do that, but he doesn't want to look foolish. So what he does is he takes off a branch and literally gives that to you every single year for, say, 10 years, okay? But here you are, you're like, I'm getting my $1, but it was essentially just your own money coming back to you, right? A tenth of it was coming back to you over those 10-year periods, okay? Now, how does adjusted cost basis work when it comes to this, right? You had a $10 money tree, and you expect it to produce $1 and retain its value, and if not, go up. So the dollar went out, but it was just a portion of your own money tree. So how adjusted cost basis works is that as soon as that dollar goes out, the value of the fund goes down by $1. So that is your adjusted cost basis. And the next year, that $1 that you expect to get back, now it goes down again to $8, and every single year you get that $1 until it basically hits zero. All of your capital has been returned to you, and that is considered like bad, what we call bad ROC, bad return of capital. Okay, there are a couple of other different kinds, again, that we'll just get into that have more tax implications, a little bit trickier to understand. So like I said, stick with me. This is kind of more under the guise of, say, good ROC, or at least better ROC, better return of capital, where it might look like your money is just coming back to you, your original principal is coming back to you, but the fund managers have ways of using certain mechanics within the fund to actually benefit you, so you don't actually have to pay as much tax. Now, keep in mind, return of capital, what it really is delayed capital gains is what it is. It just means like eventually you do pay tax, and so not that you never pay tax on it. As our last example, where you are getting your money back. Well, you're not obviously paying tax on that because it's just your own money being returned to you. But what if we have, say, a money tree that is retaining its value? So it's producing the $1 every single year, and it retains its value. It's holding out at $10, and every single year it produces that $1 for you. That was the desired outcome. And you get these dollars, but you still have to pay tax on that $1. Well, me as the fund manager, or in this case, your friend who's giving you that $1, what I could do is, as I give you that $1 on, say, December 31st, when you expect that $1 to be paid out, I could say to you, look, I have sold money trees to other people, and they were devalued money trees, and for tax purposes, I have not been credited with a loss at all, which is that this is something with taxes can actually happen. You can actually carry forward your tax losses. Just like you pay capital gains, you can actually use tax losses to reduce your taxes. So that $1 I give you, I could scribble on that and say, this is return of capital, because I have not taken advantage, as the fund manager, I have not taken advantage of these other losses in the past. So I give that to you, and for you, this is awesome. You don't have to pay tax on that $1. So what does it do to your adjusted cost basis? So just remember, your money tree is valued at $10. Your adjusted cost basis now goes down to $9, but keep in mind there's a gap here where there wasn't a gap before. In our first example, when I returned that $1 to you, return of capital, it went down together. As I returned that capital, the adjusted cost basis went down. But in this example, your money tree, the value of your money tree stays steady at $10. And every year, as that money tree produces $1, your adjusted cost basis goes down 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, all the way to 0. And at the end of 10 years, you go to sell that money tree at the same amount, okay? Right? You go to sell it for $10. It did what you wanted it to do. And you haven't paid tax on it at all. It was just return of capital from your friend there. So you go and you sell it for $10. Now you are going to pay the capital gains. Think of it this way. Your book cost, the cost of actually buying the money tree, is now essentially at 0. It's at 0. And then there's this big gap, this $10 gap between the value of the money tree and basically, even though you paid $10, even though, yes, you paid $10 for it, in the eyes of the tax man, because you kept getting that $1 every single year and it wasn't being taxed at all, they see your book cost as 0. So now you're paying tax on basically that $10 you received. But throughout those 10 years, you were paying nothing. So you were getting to keep more of your money. And of course, over time, as you age, it's expected that you will have a better financial cash position, so that hopefully when you go to pay these capital gains, you're not as impacted by it. So like I said, return of capital is simply delayed capital gains. If you hold, say, that money tree for the short term and you're just paying the return, or you're getting that return of capital, well, it definitely suits you in the long term. For myself, I plan to hold covered call ETFs for a very long time, so eventually I will have to pay that return of capital. But what happens if we get to a point, as another example, where you have that money tree and kind of the same thing, it maintains its value, and every year it pays out that $1 on December 31st, and your adjusted cost basis gets to 0. Again, you have that big $10 gap. Your book cost is essentially 0, but you don't want to sell it. So what now? So there is essentially, in the eyes of the taxman, there is no more return of capital available. They can't be returned to you. At this point, you will pay tax on every single dollar that comes your way, because there is no way for the fund manager to say, well, all the return of capital has been spent. It's all just capital gains at this point. Okay, so that's just another example. If you like what you saw, if you had anything you want to add to it, then by all means, throw it in the comments down below. I'll be happy to clarify anything down there. And as always, smash all the buttons of the like and subscribe variety, and I will see you all in the next video.